I think the offensive line still have it. Toward the end of the year, they started to have more success running the ball. They did make some progress. They did put this on TV. They drafted Jackson Howard Johnson.
We are looking live. We're back. It worked. Yeah. How are we doing, Glenn? Can you hear me? 3, 2, 1. Good to see everybody. Second to last practice. What's happening?
So, like, yeah, how's Bowers looking?
Yeah, he's a quick story, but the other problem Jack on trade is really good. They use him.
Bang, 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 is getting you hurt.
You made a nice catch too today. That's been the big man. Those tight ends are great.
Yeah, I mean, they have all the talent. They need them to their right. Right back. They come from Josh this year.
Okay, yeah, let's get to it. So today was pretty rough. Abe O'Connell especially, just not a lot of confidence with where he's going to go with the ball. To my eye, a lot of just pumping, where you can just see he's not on time. Where pump goes and then throws a pick. I think he had a handful today. We're going to have Jack Jones on right after you. He had a couple of them, and he did not look like he was comfortable in this Luke Getzey offense. And that's one thing that gives me a little bit of pause. I thought their offense looked capable enough down the stretch last year, but that was a different offensive scheme. There was an interim OC, Bo Hartgreen. He's gone. Getzey comes here from the Bears. You mentioned changing it to kind of a zone scheme in terms of running. Just a lot that's different. Like, tell me where those two guys are at, Minshew and O'Connell in this competition.
Yeah, they're neck and neck, but not the good. They both been struggling. I think O'Connell, he's more of a station. The timing is perfect. Kind of frees us up. Yes, he's not going to go out too much. So that leads to some of those anticipation throws where Jack Jones and 3 there's a slight route telegraph.
That one was like he could have thrown it earlier, and he kind of pumped it.
Little social team ready to rock. All right, Bobby, what do you want to do here? I don't know when Michael's coming, but he'll be here pretty quick. So, yeah.
Right, they keep saying the coaches that they want someone to step up. Minshew apparently is better at the scrimmage, which checks out. Like, no coach that's coaching Carter Minshew has ever really fallen in love with him out of practice. They always kind of not want to play him. And then he gets to the game, it's like, and he has
all right, O'Connell and Gardner Minshew are speaking. We want both of those. Okay, now, Bobby, talk to me one more time. Okay, yeah, no, when you play that in Q, our guests can hear it, like Telesco is saying. So whatever you're playing this in Q now, I can hear it.
Not even a plus on it. So
this thing is more accurate.
Bobby, can you hear me?
But the
Okay.
It's been-
Okay, so when you're playing that in cue, we hear it here on our headsets.
You have to move around, make throws on the run, and make-
Well, you were just playing, it sounds like you were just listening to the press conference, weren't you?
You know, he's a day 3 pick. Like,
Right.
I mean, he's a good backup. In my mind, he's a spot starter.
Like that, like now, whatever you're doing, I can hear that.
But they're asking him to do something that's important.
Okay, thanks.
Yes.
Okay.
So, he may not ultimately have that ceiling. He's going to be 26 years old.
Oh, the subs.
You know, he's not that much older. I mentioned he won.
Right.
We'll see. Like, again, we still have a month to go before the season. Just make something bad. Or you're
Me, if it's close though, I would not that. Got to be mentioned week 1 if it's actually.
Oh, I don't know how either,
Money that they gave him,
yes.
and the experience that he's had at least showing he's a gamer and give him a chance. I wanted to get to you on how insane that variety appears to be. I know just talking during the whole practice, so fired up. Just average right tackling to the point you almost feel it.
Yeah, he's a backer. I mean, he plays the same way you see.
Well,
He's a game. He never keeps talking.
yeah, cute.
He's talking and went viral.
There's ESP, yeah.
He is all the time.
All right.
Day in and day out. I mean, he has insane off.
You push this button, and you pull it.
Pretty much every day at like 6 a.m.
Like-
Stays late. He's really diligent about his body.
Yeah.
He takes it as seriously as anyone that you see. That translates to practice, and you always feel that when he writes out. Last year, his name was Lawrence. He got it every day. This year, it's Thayer Hunter and DJ Blaze, and so he doesn't hold back. They view it the Raiders. They don't try to hold
You just want it out?
Yeah, you've already put it up there.
Go like this.
So bad for right? Those early days of camp, he doesn't get happy. He was a big player. You're about his decade. He's doing a lot to a guy, so you need that. If you're going to go against some tough pass rushers in this league, if a guy can't hold up against some of the better ones, like you trust him, just starting right tackle for them. It's not just like those guys can't say
I wasn't feeling hard enough.
They got a chance this year because the
When's what?
defensive line talent is
Last week on there, that's where we at.
Players inside are stepping up, obviously Wilkins. And
How many
here's
years have you
Broncos
got?
linebackers, that's where I give him a lot of credit, just playing at a level you wouldn't have expected last year. Secondary, a bit of a question, but certainly some talent there. And they're bigger, they're better than some of the parts you saw.
And Jay,
Just give us someone that you've seen maybe on the
wanted
defensive
to
side.
the
Camp that
give my money. They're like all for it. They just want to do it in the hotel. They have to go. Dylan is gonna convince Tommy. He wants to do fraud, but he was like, I don't think he'll do it. He was like, oh, should do
Where's your
Tommy.
Polaroid camera?
Yeah.
Where's your Polaroid camera?
People have been commenting on our TikTok and they're like, Keith, please do it, please do it.
Last year came in, he had a body.
What number is he? Yeah, nice day too. They all there. I don't know what the thing.
That secondary has been leading the way, honestly. I think they do this.
Yeah.
When the pads are on, it's kind of hard to fully evaluate that. Whether the pads are on.
Okay, JT ready to go live from Raiders training camp in Costa Mesa, California. One more practice to go. This is it here as we are wrapping up our in-depth team coverage live from Raiders training camp, where it's been nice to be out here. But the players are ready to break camp. The players are ready to head to Minneapolis and take on the Minnesota Vikings coming up here on Saturday. I'll be on the radio play-by-play call with the great Lincoln Kennedy and Eric Allen and Jason Horowitz, our play-by-play voice who go to TV with Matt Millen, who gets in tonight, along with the great Rich Gannon. Michael Mayer is supposed to join us here as the players are done with practice. Some of them are signing autographs. Some of them are lifting weights, doing what they do. Also, Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell are speaking to the press today, and I think that is going to be a spirited conversation here because the press, I'm not going to say that they're ready to pounce, but the press, no doubt about it, has not been impressed by the quarterback play here at camp. They haven't been overwhelmed. It hasn't been a great camp for the quarterback position. It hasn't been. So I'm okay with that because the preseason hasn't started yet. So they better play better in these preseason games. And they're going to play in these preseason games. Hallelujah. After 9 years of Derek Carr being in bubble wrap, I'm excited to see quarterbacks play in the preseason. And you don't want a quarterback to get hurt. You don't want to jeopardize a quarterback's health by letting him play. But as you know, Justin Herbert will not play in the preseason. He's not even playing. He's in a boot at practice for the Chargers. So when you think of what I just said, Justin Herbert, who I hope is healthy. I want everybody to be healthy in the league. I never go down that road. I'm hoping for an injury. I'm hoping he doesn't come back to play us. I'm not that guy. But the fact that Justin Herbert's getting in no reps and Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell are getting and splitting reps, and neither one of them have distinguished themselves being much better than the other, a lot of insiders are talking about it. And they're talking about it, and they're vocal about it. Again, working for the team, being here on the flagship station, I'm not the guy who's going to start a controversy because I think it's a competition. But I told you weeks ago on this broadcast, if it gets to a controversy, we're going to cover a controversy. For me, it's just a competition as we open the show up today. But it's the second to last day at camp, and you are inside Raiders training camp. So if you can hear me, see me on YouTube, if you're looking, Michael Mayer is going to join us in a moment. You want to call this show today because we have just 2 more radio shows live from Costa Mesa today and tomorrow. The number is 702-365-9200, and we'll see what happens. And a lot of fans are excited about the defense. Jack Jones had one hell of a practice today. Oh, my God. That guy is sniffing out every average pass, below average pass that he can see, and he's making a play. So Jack Jones, to me, was the best player on the field today, at least from what I saw, for being here for the entire practice. I love the fact that the Raiders do have depth on the offensive line because there's no Jackson Powers-Johnson still as he's on the pup list. But very fortunate for the Raiders here as I talked to a couple of coaches on and off the record here that the Raiders have Cody Whitehair to jump in at guard, and they have the ability now to see, I think, Andres Pete play, who's got experience. They got a couple of veterans who are being called on to play here in practice, and they're veterans, and they're good players. So if you have to break the glass, and Colt Miller's ready to go. Colt Miller will be ready to go. No need to see Colt Miller out there. But he's close to being ready to go. I do not know what they're going to do with Colt Miller in the preseason games. I don't think he's the one player, probably with Devontae, but you got to see a little bit of Devontae after the baby is born in the preseason because he's got to get in a rhythm with either Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell. So Devontae playing a quarter, I'm not going to be shocked if he's able to do that. The key I want to make today as we open up the show is this is now go time for the quarterbacks. And the quarterbacks have not taken advantage of that opportunity, period. They just haven't been able to do that. I've always thought that Aiden O'Connell would probably win this job. I no longer think that. Not saying he's going to lose the job. I'm not going to tell you exactly today as we sit here. What's today? August 6th, and tell you who's going to be the starting quarterback. But I think Gardner Minshew has the edge. I think most of the insiders believe that Gardner Minshew has the edge for this opportunity. And if you look at the schedule, opening up against Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, and then playing the Baltimore defense, I think you want a mobile quarterback with experience in those first 2 games. I always thought that Aiden O'Connell would be it. He'd earn the position. He'd earn the starting position. And he'd open up. And if he went 1-1, he'd keep the job. If he went 0-2, he'd lose the job. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. That's up to Antonio Pierce, Luke Getsy, Tom Telesco especially. But I'm starting to sense that Gardner Minshew might be the player after what I saw at extensive practice here in camp to just give the veteran who's a little bit more mobile the opportunity, more 1 snaps overall, so he's up and ready to go. And if I'm wrong with that, you know where to find me. This isn't end-of-the-world radio stuff. But there are some NFL insiders who I'm watching practice with, and if they see a ball float, if they see a ball go out of bounds, remember what I told you the first day when I was out here at camp, first day. I told you that every rep that goes awry, every rep that there's a mistake, there's an interception, there's a deflected pass, there's an incompletion, you never get that rep back. You lose an opportunity for a play. And I don't know what the number was. I was talking about that with Q Myers and Vinny Bonsignor and a couple other guys today. How many percentage of these passes do you believe were either broken up, incomplete, and I'm going to keep that number to myself, all right, because I don't have the accurate number, right? I'm not charting every throw. But that number is not good. That number is not what I'm used to seeing being around this organization going on 27 seasons. And these quarterbacks are good. As I said, I believe they're both good quarterbacks in this league. And as I talked about with Vic Tafer, who's going to join us a little bit later on, I really believe that both of these quarterbacks can manage the game and the defense can dominate the game. If you saw my Twitter feed of JT the Breck yesterday, my son cut up some reels, and my son is in the chat right now with the fire signals coming at me. There's a lot of playmakers on this team. And you have Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, and Zamir White. You got playmakers, and you got to get them the bleeping ball. Okay? I don't care if you check down. I don't care if you throw a 4-yard in route. You throw a 7-yard out route. Run the play like you ran in Costa Mesa. And I don't think these plays in Costa Mesa are all locked in yet. Luke Getsy, here's the positive of Luke Getsy. I think most of it is positive, is that there's a lot of motion. There's a lot of different looks. There are players in motion, tight ends in motion, tight ends in the slot. I'm encouraged by that. As I said, I work for the Raiders, so when Josh McDaniels is the head coach, I didn't come to my meetings with a pitchfork telling him he sucked. But what I was disappointed with Josh McDaniels is there was no motion. There was no elaborate play calling. Everything looked totally vanilla in camp and in the regular season. I'm not seeing that with Luke Getsy. I'm seeing the opposite. I'm seeing everybody in motion. I'm seeing some really good crossing patterns of stuff that I've been screaming for over a decade. So let's see what happens. But if Luke Getsy calls a really good play, it's Brock Bowers underneath, it's Devontae over the top, and Max Crosby's running around the corner playing touch, you're it. You don't get the playoff. Does any of this matter? Does any of this matter if these guys can't block up front? Now with Colt Miller back and eventually JPJ and the, I think, veterans that they have and the ability of DJ Glaze to play, along with Thayer Mumford, I think they're going to be okay. But there's no full back there. Zamir White can block, but he's not Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs was great when it came to blocking in the backfield. So with all this happening here, they've got to get more productive, very productive plays going in the preseason. And a lot of times you hear, well, we don't want to go through this. We don't want to show our hands in the preseason. I get it. You're not going to run a double reverse in the preseason. You're not going to run your best plays for everybody to see, but you got to run some plays. You got to get these guys off to a pretty good start, because I think overall, and I'll be kind and I'll be, always honest to you, I think that the quarterbacks have been very average. And when you're fighting to be a starting quarterback in the NFL and you can't be average. You need to be great if you want to start in this league and you want to beat out someone who's similar to you. Neither quarterback has been great. Neither quarterback has been very good. I think the quarterbacks are average. I'm being kind. I think there's probably been more average days than there have been great days here. So that's what I got here in the monologue as we open up the show, brought to you by PTs. They fuel the monologue, and they have you ready for UFC. If you want to go to any big event and pregame for UFC, head on out to PTs, because they know how to do it. And they are a great partner of ours here on Raider Nation Radio. They have happy hour from 5 to 7, midnight to 2, voted the best happy hour pretty much forever. And they have a great opportunity to host you coming up for any UFC event coming up. Also, 2 words, fantasy football and beer. That should be okay. That's 3, but who's counting? If you're in it to win it, PT's got you covered. Host your ultimate fantasy football draft party at PT's Taverns and score big with 10% off your tab, a free draft kit, and free Wi-Fi. Gather your league, kick back, and draft like a pro from PTs. I'm not a fantasy football guy, but the people that throw their parties there really love it because they have the fantasy kit for you along the way. You want a hot, flaming Doritos take? There's no chance the 49ers win the Super Bowl without Brandon Ayuk, period. That's the biggest story in sports today. He is a top 10 receiver. We have one here, I think, in the top 5 or better in Devontae Adams. You cannot lose Brandon Ayuk if you're the San Francisco 49ers and think you're going to win the NFC Championship game. Think that you're going to go in and win the Super Bowl. You can't. Now, look, if you're able to make a trade with Cleveland and you get Amari Cooper, okay, I'm all right with that. If you get a serviceable wide receiver opposite Debo Samuel, who's a human missile, you still have a chance to win in the playoffs and go far with Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle. But if you lose Brandon Ayuk and you don't replace him with a similar type player, and there aren't many, none available that I know of now, other than a potential wild trade with the team that gives up a number one, then the 49ers are putting a Super Bowl in jeopardy. Okay, that's it. That's all I want to tell you on that is a big storyline developing today as we open up the show. You know, the Niners got a little cockiness in them. Trent Williams is just a big guy. He's going to the Hall of Fame. He doesn't want to practice every day, but he actually wants money. He really wants money along the way. And to me, you know, that takes balls. He has the ability to do that. But wow, I mean, for the Niners right now to have guys missing out after going to the Super Bowl, that's not the end of the world. But to lose Brandon Ayuk in any category, any specific way, the Niner Empire, the Bang Bang 49er fan, that 49er fan is going to lose their mind. And I like that type of party. If that happens along the way. All right, so the phone number is 702-365-9200 if you want to get in. We're waiting on Michael Mayer, obviously. Getting back to what we just said about Brandon Ayuk, this is Ian Rappaport from NFL Network earlier today on this developing story.
He had a car yesterday, so he was at the auto shop. I didn't realize he was scheduled for him, so
Sam also
well, I think Christie right now is good fine because there's not a lot going on, but
All right, so again, Ian Rappaport from NFL Network there. Do you think Brandon Ayuk would be happy in New England? No, not at all. He's on the verge of a Super Bowl, and he's a big part of that team. So that's one of the developing stories here outside of Raiders camp as we open this up. So when it comes to the Raiders, the topic that is emerging more and more is the quarterback. We always knew the quarterback was going to be the most important topic that we'd have along the way here, but you know, again, today I was out here, and I won't say I was greatly disappointed. I just was hoping for a little bit more. And Antonio Pierce is a real big juice guy. You know, he's a guy who's going to get you fired up along the way. And, you know, whatever his philosophy is here at camp, he played in this league. He's won a Super Bowl. He really knows how to bring his A game. Max Crosby's brought his A game. Christian Wilkins. You know, there's not fights like you're seeing because they don't have a joint practice. You see what's going on with the Giants and Detroit. There's brawling, there's fights there. Some people like that. You don't want to see any stupid injuries along the way. But for the Raiders here, it's not a negative to me, but it's a negative for some that they haven't seen enough juice. As Vinny Bonsignore said throughout camp, there hasn't been any wow plays, like literally plays that you sit around and go, wow. And you say, man, look at that. And he was saying, you know, if you go up the road, Oxnard, the Cowboys, and Dak have 5 to 10 of those. So where is Gardner Minshew at this point trying to get this job? Where is Aiden O'Connell fighting off Gardner Minshew trying to get this job? I haven't seen much, but I'm not freaking out because I know this is a long run and road here in the preseason as we get going here. We're going to get to Gardner Minshew. Bobby's going to tell me which one is available first. We'll get them queued up. They're going to be talking here in a little bit, but sometimes after these practices, These get a little bit delayed because the players are working out. But Gardner Minshew at the podium speaking to the media. Okay.
Good. Yes. Yes. We're taping a couple things, and then we have Jack too. But yeah, I'd love to.
Meeting.
Shoot, takeaways. I mean, kind of the same things we've been working on camp. Like you turn on the scrimmage, but it's another practice for us. It was a good competitive opportunity. Under the lights, felt like a high school jamboree a little bit, which is fun. But man, I think it's the same things we've been building towards the whole time. I think we're starting to find out what our identity is as an offense, what different guys can do, how we can put them in positions to succeed. And that process has been a lot of fun.
How much do you think the preseason performances will dictate what happens with the decision for the starting job?
Oh, I have no clue, man. It's not my decision. So.
How excited are you to get to play a different defense than these guys?
Yeah, no, I mean, I love playing preseason football. Any chance to get out and play is awesome, and I think with the guys we have, it'll be a lot of fun. A chance to go out and make plays and hopefully win.
Were you surprised when there was some contact with Max hit you at one point?
I mean, it was like a full contact, like live scrimmage, so no.
In your career, and this is maybe your first real opportunity to fight for the starting job in camp. That was the declaration. So do you approach preseason any differently, knowing that that's what's at stake?
No. If there was a better way to approach it, I'd have been doing that, But I think it's all the process to get better, whether in your competition or not. Like, I believe I can play in this league. If I get better, I can play really well in this league. So if I can continue to get better, I'm going to put myself in the best opportunity, and that's all I can really control.
Just before we get preseason, but it's an actual game, and as you mentioned, going up against a new defense and finding that kind of your identity. What is it that you're actually looking to accomplish on that?
Win, do the end of the year.
You mentioned that a couple of times that you're finding your identity. What is the Raiders' identity offensively in your mind?
Yeah, I think it's going to be dishing the ball out, getting our guys in space, running. We got some guys that are awesome after the catch, doing that heavy run game, play action with it, and just really having a balanced attack and balance with run pass, balance with multiple people touching the football. I think that's what's going to be good for us. Yeah, it's good, man. I like some of the play action, some of the boot game stuff is good. I think all that sets up well, and it's stuff that's a lot of fun for me.
A lot about pressure that Max What's the it like practicing against him? How did
No, he definitely has a nose for the ball, man. He's kind of a wild card. You know, even though you know the coverage by the book, he can play a little different, read things, and pick things up. He's a smart player that has good instincts, you know, so you always kind of have to be aware that he'll probably get involved in the play if it's on his side.
The secondary been in general. Just he's the best. He's an explosive player.
Yeah, no, they're doing a good job, man. I like, I mean, safeties are vets. Jack's been doing great. Nate, nickel, super smart, savvy dude. JB on the outside, so fast. Like, I mean, it's a great group, man. An awesome challenge every day to go out there against them.
Safety blanket against Brock Bowers when he's streaming across the middle for you and you're rolling out.
He's awesome, man. I mean, all these guys that you can get the ball to and they can turn like 2-yard passes into, you know, explosive gains. That's huge, man.
We've got some updates about who's playing in the preseason, who's not. We got Jarrett Stidham as the starter in Denver. Gerard Mayo said he's going to play all 4 of his quarterbacks, so we get some Drake May, we get some Jacoby Brissett this weekend, which I'm very excited about. Jaden Daniels is going to get the start for Washington this weekend. And just selfishly, I want as many good players as possible to play in the preseason this weekend.
Okay, everyone.
Nick Shook and I are going to wrap up
In the restroom, and then when I come out the restroom, I hope
show Monday morning. So more interesting players, the better this weekend. Texans are also going to play their starter. Jordan Love is also going to play. Other than that, couple minor moves. Adrian Amos signed to the Jaguars, might end up from their starting. The safety, the Lions lose Emmanuel Mosley.
We're leaving it.
we're
All
ready to go.
right, there we go.
Yeah, hold on, catch the breath.
All right, that is Gardner Minshew who just spoke. I have a lot to say on that coming up momentarily. For me, and I'm looking over, we got a tent wall between that. So as I was hosting the monologue here, I couldn't see his mannerisms and everything that's happening overall. But I can tell you this much, that Michael Mayer is going to join us in a minute. That was an interesting, very interesting conversation by Gardner Minshew. I told you before it, the media was going to make sure that they asked him some tough questions. I would expect the same thing for Aiden O'Connell along the way. Expect the same thing. So, Bobby, we're going to go a little long here. Michael Mayer's walking up here. We should have him here in the next 30 seconds of show, and we have him coming up right now. And I'm excited to talk to him because a lot of good things happened today as Michael Mayer is kind enough to join us at Notre Dame now in another camp here for the Silver and Black, and he's kind enough to join us on the flagship. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. How you doing?
I'm great, and I'm sure you're great too because everybody is getting ready to break camp, go to Minneapolis and play the first game. I talked earlier in the year with you with your conditioning and how good a shape you're in. What'd you get out of this camp so far?
A lot to get better at still, for sure. A lot to get better at. But since day one, we've improved tremendously as tight in the tight end room, and offense as a whole, and the team as a whole. It's been great being out here. It's 10 times better than being in Vegas than last year. But it's been great. It's been great. New coach Steph's great. AP's been fantastic with his leadership, and it's no complaints. It's been awesome.
As much as everybody's talking about you and Brock Bowers, that's a deep tight end room. I mean, I'm seeing all these tight ends come in after you get your reps and making plays, and I love the scheme and the motion and how active the tight ends are here in Costa Mesa.
Very active. We got a very deep tight end room.
Yeah.
It's been tremendous to be able to learn with them, grow with them. Luke Steckel, the new tight ends coach, he's been awesome too. And we're deep, man. We can run 13 out there. We can put 3 tight ends out there, 4 tight ends, 2 tight ends. Like, it's been awesome to.
It's been great. Michael Mayer joins us. Your blocking, how has it improved, especially now going up against Max on one side, Kuntz on the other side? I mean, you're ready to do this. You're a physical player here, and iron sharpens iron. You got to love this.
100%. Look, it's about fundamentals and technique. I think I learned that pretty quick last year coming in. And so the offseason, one of my big things was keep my hands inside and keep my feet running. If I have those 2 things and I combine those 2 things and I get my hands inside and I get a hold of them, it's really hard for them to kind of shed me or get around me or things like that. So those are the 2 things that I kind of worked on in the offseason and have been grinding. And it's, only showed out there so far.
Michael Mayer's our guest, so I couldn't wait to share this with you today. I'm wearing Tom Flores' Hall of Fame hat. So Tom Flores is getting up there, and I called him at home today in Palm Desert, and I told him I was interviewing you. And it was all about Dave Casper. So as you walk through the building, you see the ghost, Dave Casper. You know he's a Hall of Famer. But I also asked Coach about Todd Christensen, Raymond Chester. So he did a deep dive with me. And the reason why I wanted to bring you up is Dave Casper, we know, goes to the post, his Super Bowl touchdown, but they said about Dave that he was so smart at a Notre Dame, you didn't have to run these reps over and over for him. So Fred Biletnikoff has told me this, Tom Flores and Phil Villapiano. They said the Raiders' great play in that era wasn't to Biletnikoff, it wasn't to Branch. It was this block at the line of scrimmage release, and Ghost would go to the corner in the Super Bowl or Ghost to the post or something that everybody knew was out there, but the Raiders didn't show it a lot. And I said, Coach Flores, this reminds me of Michael Mayer, to have a play for him, and we're not tipping the scheme here, where you feel comfortable you can dominate that play all the time.
Yeah, I think there's a couple plays we got in that could do that. Me, including Brock, including Harrison Bryant. I mean, we just got so many weapons and so many people that are reliable. You can count on them. They know what they're doing. They know the offense. They know, hey, I got to do this. Hey, let's talk. We're seeing this. We're D'ing this. Communication out there is huge, especially in this offense. And it's been just awesome being out there with this.
Yeah, I love this. And that gets me to Luke Getsy when he throws this out at you, the install. So when I talked to you last, we talked about the install. It's got to happen quickly here because as the quarterbacks are getting peppered, who's trying to distinguish themselves, we're not hearing it about the tight ends. The tight ends know the install. They know the crossing routes, when they're staying in and blocking. That's got to make you feel good knowing that your group is tight and understanding a new offensive coordinator.
And you can play confident too.
Yeah.
And, I think there was a couple times last year when I wasn't out there playing confident. And that's huge in the NFL. You got to be out there, go on the field, and play confident. And we haven't had any problems with the tight end room so far. Everybody's out there playing with confidence.
Well, as we wrap this up, that brings me back. Former regime, new regimes come in. Now, I'm hosting the pre- and post-game show, and after every game, when you had a couple of big catches in the bigger games you had, I said, why are we not going back to him? And the frustration you had where you were open, they went to you, you made a great play in the end zone, and I'm like, run it again. It's not let's run it every 2 games. Do you feel like at this stage now you have the confidence of this organization where there could be a game where you have 11 or 12 receptions because you're a matchup nightmare?
100%. I think I found that confidence in myself. I think they have that confidence in me. I think my teammates have that confidence in me. And look, there's 5-6 guys on that offense that can go out there and have 10, 11, 12 catches a game, and so it's the number one rule. We want to win. Whatever's going to help us win, that's what we want to do. So if that's what it takes, then that's what it's going to have to take. But we need to keep W's in the W column.
Last one. I'm the guy, 27 years coming up with the team that I try to be the guardian of the gate when people are talking crap about us, mostly fans. This year it's been about the national media not covering us much. And some national media, they're a 4 or 5 win team. I go, what are you talking about? They won 8 games last year. Should have been 9 blindfolded. And the team got better. Is that coming into your space and in the locker room that, hey, you go home, you watch a channel or 2 and you're saying, man, they're not covering us. And we're a pretty good team. We've beaten Denver 8 in a row. The Chargers were better. Then they had 5 wins last year. Let's point us up there and start covering us a little bit more.
We have confidence in ourselves. We know what we can do as a team, offense, defense, special teams, all 3 together. We're just going to kind of wait, keep it to ourselves, go out there, try to play the best ball we can play. And look, we got a lot of leaders in the locker room, got a lot of leaders on the field. So we're going to keep it in-house. We're excited about this season, man, and I'm ready to get started.
Your message to the Raider Nation.
Got a great team here. Really, really good team. We got a lot of confidence in our locker room. We're going to keep our head down. We're going to keep working. We're going to keep getting better and, put as many W's in that W column as possible.
Thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
Always
Appreciate
a pleasure.
it. Thanks for having me on.
Michael Mayer, we got him, and we're thrilled we had him, and that's the type of juice and energy that we need here. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you very much.
We got it. There he is, Michael Mayer. And we knew we'd get him. And again, the Tom Flores conversation when we come back, I'm going to dive into that more because I can do a whole show on my conversation with Tom Flores. This is why you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Look at all the YouTubers who got a chance to see Big Mike. Come on, man. There was no YouTube on radio 5, 10, 15 years ago. Now we're doing everything on YouTube and live on the radio. Subscribe, JT the Break YT. Some of you old timers get a YouTube, get it going, subscribe, and be there. I mean, how good was that? This guy, I'm serious. He and Bowers are the best chance I'm a season ticket holder, have to make the playoffs. Period. I'm a Devontae guy. You know that. I'm a Max guy. You know that. That guy, Big Mike, when Brock Bowers was drafted, didn't call his agent and say, "Get me out of here. Get me out of here." They're bringing in someone who might have more opportunity than me. He is a teammate. And I love the fact that there's a Notre Dame connection to the great Dave Casper. How about that? And make sure Alex and Orlando DeCastroverde know we just had big Mike Mayer on, and it's brought to you by the DeCastroverde Law Group. If you get into an accident or injured, 702-222-9999. The brothers win. The brothers have you back. When we come back, Vic Tafer's going to join us. Also, Greg Rosenthal is here. And he's going to jump in, and we're going to talk to him. He's from NFL Network. He's covering the team. He's been known to go toe-to-toe with the Raider Nation. We'll put him on the radio, hear what he has to say. I am honored to be here going into this Minnesota game, traveling out with the team and being part of the broadcast as we're live from Costa Mesa on the flagship of the Silver and Black.
Part of your job to take the ball away and score some points for this offense.
Definitely. I can't be a guy giving up touchdowns, giving up a lot of passes, giving up yards. That's not good for a DB, especially when you have a D-line like we have. Things happen.
Yeah, where do you kind of see yourself? You've had an interesting.
How was that, everybody? Did it sound good? Were you able to hear it? I mean,
and
I got the microphone right up there, so I hope that was okay.
Some things don't work out there.
Yeah, he's a hell of a player, man.
Make a big time impact, and really, you're their best quarterback.
There you go. All right, now we're back. Stop bitching and moaning about Gruden. They ripped his job from him and his career from him with some illegal emails when he should have been suspended for 2 or 3 games and took his career away. He consulted with the Saints and the Chiefs and other teams out there. So I don't think everybody has to worry about him showing up and saying hi to Andy Reid at camp. He's not going to root for the Chiefs over the Raiders. Relax. Good Vegas born. So you can go talk to John Gruden's son, Deuce, who's here, who's one of the great power lifters in the world, and go tell him he's a turncoat. Be a hot shot, Vegas born, and come down to camp and go up to John Gruden's son and tell him that his dad's a turncoat. Give me a break. All you people are freaking butthurt. Someone wears a hat or a shirt and you think they let you down. You know how this league let down John Gruden and what they did to him and how this league ran him out of the league? Be concerned about that. I'm not defending him being in Kansas City. I'm just saying grow the hell up and relax. Unbelievable. Guy goes and visits one of his best friends he coached with since he was an intern in this league. Was he not was supposed to erase Andy Reid's phone number and not have dinner with him? Come on, grow up. All right, so we ended up doing Michael Mayer. We're going to have Vic Tafer, Greg Rosenthal from NFL Network. Do you have, Bobby, do you have Aiden O'Connell? Okay, why don't we go with that?
For your team, and now you're back. It's your first full season with the Raiders, and you're looking up at those guys as the back-to-back defending champs.
Why don't you, I don't like that delay, and I know it's not on you, the buffering, so when I say let's go to Aiden O'Connell, live from Raiders training camp, when I say Aiden O'Connell, hit it, because it's going to pause for 2 seconds. All right. How long was that?
it's been a minute since the Raiders could shut down the Chiefs like that. How did you do that?
Excuse me one more time. How do you want me to say that was?
One thing I noticed when we was out there on Christmas Day,
Okay, 7 minutes, 20 seconds.
sometimes some games look like.
So we only took one break. We need one more break, right?
Score, but that game we didn't blink. We didn't question it. The defense was up. Everybody had their hat on, ready to go and ready to step on the field.
All right. I want you to talk me through one of my favorite plays from the 2023 season. I think you know where I'm going with this. That interception that you had against the Chargers. I'm probably not the first person to ask, but that to me is it's an all-time quarterback play. A play I think people are going to remember where you reached back, you read the play. Kind of walk me through how that play took place with you.
It was film study for one, for two. Coach PG, Coach Pat Graham, he made the call to put me in position to make that play. We played cover 2 on that play.
It's DJ Turner, who's getting a lot of reps here at camp, JT, as we're live from Costa Mesa. And we're brought to you by the Black Hole. And I'm a member of the Black Hole, first ever inducted into the Black Hole Hall of Fame. I would not be on the radio if it wasn't for Black Hole Rob Rivera and the entire Black Hole. So I'm completely invested in the Black Hole, and I want you to be too. So you can become a member of the Black Hole. I'm at Raiders training camp in Costa Mesa. I see Black Hole shirts because for less than $60, you can be a member for life. So just go to theblackhole.com and get it done. It's basically just logging into theblackhole.com, click on membership, become a lifetime membership, and then you're going to be all set. You're going to be ready to go. So when you show up at all of these events and you're having a good time, you can say, I'm a member of the Black Hole. You're not a charity case member of the Black Hole. Black Hole doesn't need anybody. They're inviting you to be a member. And if I got an invitation 20 years ago to be in the Black Hole, oh my God, which I did, you take it. So the Black Hole, go to theblackhole.com and become a member here. All right, Bobby, let's get up Vic Tafer, who's kind enough to join us. And always great to talk to one of the premier insiders in the NFL and with the Raiders as he joins us from Raiders training camp in Costa Mesa, California. His new podcast is up and running, and he's watched a lot of quarterback play. So, Vic, let's begin. Your takeaway specifically today of the quarterbacks at practice.
I thought it was still a little erratic. I thought, we saw some good plays, some bad plays. I think accuracy, that's still kind of an issue for both guys. And I think, what else? I just think it's still kind of wide open. I think, they were hoping, I think maybe that Aiden would play a little better to kind of assert himself. He had the first snaps of his offseason. I thought they wanted him to take that step, but I think he quite hasn't yet. I think Gardner's still very much in the mix. You see his ability to make plays on his feet, kind of he can run and get out of trouble, which Aiden can't do. So I think it's still wide open as we head back to Vegas.
Is it more about Aiden not improving? Because reports were obviously he's going to get better and better, and with an off season and the work and staying in Vegas. So let's say, I know you looked at his technique today also. Why isn't there improvement, and can you blame it on the fact that the offensive line isn't intact?
That's part of it. I think obviously you're not having you're starting left tackle, and you're starting left guard. That's a big deal, I think. But also, I think maybe the new offense. I think there's definitely some different looks. You do more misdirection, more play action, some more play, more pass across the middle. So I think maybe he's still adjusting to that. Maybe more longer process than I thought it would be. I mentioned to you on the sidelines hitch. I see a hitch, like a little hesitation, which I didn't see last year. So maybe that's just a phase. Maybe that's the training camp that we're going through. Think mentally and trying to figure out where you should go. And obviously the clock is ticking, and these guys on defense are back there pretty quick. I mean, Max is always in these guys' face, chirping, and Chris Wilkins. So definitely not a lot of time to get it right back there. So I think sometimes maybe he's thinking too much to get, but we both talked also about the offense looks pretty good as far as the structure of it. I mean, I think they have the tools. They got Devontae, Jacoby, the 2 tight ends. So there should be the ability to have quick hitting plays across the middle and also on the sidelines. These guys are all good after the catch. So I think that's going to be the bread and butter, that and play action. And I think these guys can both do it if they, get a little better.
Vic Tafer's our guest from the Athletics. So I wasn't there. The body language of Minshew, a lot of times likes to joke around and have fun. Everybody was peppering him now. Now, to me, just hearing it, not seeing it, it seemed like this was his first press conference or podium conference where everybody was like, wait a second, What do you got to do to get this job? What's it like to be Chase? Where are you that? How did he handle that session there?
Pretty good. I think he said he feels like he's making strides. Like he feels like he's been positive the last week or so. So I think maybe we, on the outside, look and say, well, he's still missing throws and there's interceptions here and there. But in his mind, it's all about where you start and where you finish. And I think also in his mind, he can't really say this, but he's probably always been kind of a game kind of guy, not really a practice kind of player. I think he's always best, kind of unscripted. So I'm sure it's a little tougher in his offense, but I think he feels he's making strides. I think he knows he can get better and got to turn the ball over less. Both guys have turned the ball over too much in practice, so it's not just him. So I think it's pretty positive. I think he realized that he hasn't played great ball the last 2 weeks, but at the same time, he's still right in the mix.
Could you be suggesting that they should have been playing much better ball, or that's what I'm trying to get my head around? Because you're at practice more than I am, and you see every throw. That everybody was expecting, including the coaches, just some more, as Vinny said, wild plays, a couple of more bullets, a couple more connections deep, and it's really hard to almost find any overall when you're sitting there looking at a practice trying to find something positive.
Yeah, I think the book of Aiden was a very accurate passer, and I think he has not been accurate this spring. So Gardner's been kind of a couple seconds late in some throws. So I think for this offense to really work, it has to be in stride, it has to be the guys like Bowers and give them the ability to break tackles and go. And so I think that's still a work in progress. Like Devontae has not been here the last 4 or 5 days for the birth of his kids. So that's also, he's a big piece to be missing in practice. When you throw into Ramel Keaton, no offense to him instead of Devontae Adams, it's kind of a big difference. So, but on the positive side, it's a chance for you guys to all get reps. Sure. Chris Wilkerson's getting a lot of reps. DJ Turner's had a good camp. So these are guys who may not seem important now because they're not going to be starting, but down the road in the season, you may know those guys make a play, and they'll look back at these reps as maybe a key step in that process.
So all your years covering the Raiders and the NFL, what can we look forward to with these preseason games with more time for the quarterbacks to play, get a quarter each where, Derek was pretty much in bubble wrap throughout his whole entire career. I understand why, but that's not the case here. So what do you expect to see not only in Minneapolis, but the rest of the way?
Like we're starting to see Luke Getsy kind of peel back there a little bit. He won't show us live his offense. We see a little more here and there. I think we'll probably see a little bit more in the preseason because it has to be structured differently for these two guys because they're different style quarterbacks. There's more rollout plays for Gardner, and you can't do that really too much. So I think we might see the play call be a little different. I think, and again, you're hoping the line plays a little bit better in these games to give these guys a little more time to make plays.
Finally, I talked to you on the sideline about the schedule. It's Bosa and Mack going up against Baltimore's defense, which is always either really good or great. I think Gardner's probably the better choice for those 2 games unless Aiden comes back and just plays incredible lights out in the preseason. Those 2 games are looming. You got a quarterback in a boot in LA, and then you're going to have a team in Baltimore that's going to have 9 days off, win or lose, against Kansas City. This is a gauntlet for the Raiders right out of the gate.
It is. They are very important games because it gets tough. So you kind of want to go in, firing on all cylinders. So it's a good question. You're right because Gardner's scrambling ability, I think, gives him an edge against those kind of guys over Aiden. Then again, I think for me, it'll come down to accuracy. I think, especially with the quick passes. So if Aiden can get back to where he was, we got a month left, right? A month before he can start. So if Aiden has a good month where he's more accurate and kind of gets more comfortable, maybe he can hold off Gardner. But if not, if he can't be more accurate than Gardner, clearly so, then you're right. The edge goes to Gardner because of the other things. He can make plays, his experience, that kind of stuff. So I think it's kind of on Aiden right now to kind of take another step this next month.
Tell everybody about the evolution of your podcast now and what you're doing with that.
Yeah, so it's called Just Win. We kind of they're fun moved away from the local podcasts and we've come to the State of the Nation podcast, my new name, Blue Wire, but it's going good. Got Luke Getsy on last week, we'll have some more guests going forward, but I'm trying to change it up and have some fun.
So are you here because we were going to do this? Are they lifting? Are they taking their time? Are they done? We know the quarterback spoke today.
Yeah, we've got the quarterbacks. We've got Andres Pete, who's taking all the snaps at left tackle. Those are the 3 guys today. So we're pretty much done today. And tomorrow's the last day of camp here in Costa Mesa.
And you enjoyed Costa Mesa, a little bit different than what we're,
It's a very nice place, man.
Absolutely.
It's very nice.
Thanks for doing this. Good to see you.
Take care.
Look forward to having you on. That's Vic Tafer. We'll have him on every 2 weeks during the regular season on Fridays or when his schedule permits. And, real interesting conversation as I was standing with Vic on the sideline today for a portion of the practice, as he just said. This is a situation where when you look at the quarterbacks and not having the ability to distinguish themselves, I think he was able to figure it out. and tell everybody what's going on. You're at a point now where you don't have your starting left tackle and what presumably is your starting left guard. So if you don't have that, what are you going to be able to get done? Are you going to have an elite training camp at quarterback? Well, they haven't been very accurate, and that's a concern. Appreciate Vic Tafer for joining us. That's brought to you by Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. I can tell you everything about Cane's. Going back to school, the opportunity to just go and have fun. Their charity work in this town is second to none in Vegas. They are an established brand, Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. I'm a Caniac, part of our coverage live from Raiders training camp. All right, I think we're good right now on some guests for a while, and we'll go from here. Yeah, I think, I don't know what Q said on his show because I wasn't hearing it, but I think Antonio Pierce is obviously trying to pick up the pace a little bit here. You know, it hasn't been a bad camp. I mean, the defense has been outstanding. And, you know, the defense, special teams, I talked to A.J. Cole. It's a big part of this team now. They got brand new kickoff rules, brand new. Got a great punter, not a good punter, great, and a really good kicker. I think a top 5 kicker. That's positive. So if you take the kicking game and coverage and all that, add it with the defense being maybe a top, you know, I know it's going to be a top 10 defense, maybe better, and all the weapons they have on offense, which is a positive. The only thing everybody's right questioning is the quarterback play, and we'll see what happens with that. What's on the dinner menu tonight, man? I love this restaurant, the Water Grill. There's a Maestro's, but I've been spending a lot of money here, man. You know, my wife, so keep an eye on that credit card for a fun way. The stock market crashed this week, came back a little bit today. Matter of fact, the market's still open. Let's see where we're at today. Maybe that's what I'll do. If the market's up, I'll pay for a nice dinner. If it's down, I'll brown bag it. Ooh, the market's up 421 after being down 1,000. Okay. Minshew, yeah. All righty. I'll give you a tequila commissario. Yep. Who are these Raider haters in here, man? And we want some good. There's Mike from La Casa Cigars. Javier's at Crystal Cove has great Mexican food and Modelo's. Yes, Mike. I ain't going to LA, man. I'm in Costa Mesa. I'm staying close to home in Costa Mesa, man. I love it here. Yeah, I know the heat wave, man. I flew in this morning, Thor. I got on the 705 today. All right, let's get this Vegas-born prick out of here. Let's get him out of here. We'll put him in the penalty box. I'm going to put that Vegas-born guy in a timeout like a little baby.
So we've done deep dives now on Raiders, Chargers, Bears. Is that it?
It's Gardner Minshew who just spoke to the media. Welcome back to Raiders training camp live in Costa Mesa in Orange County. And we're brought to you by Tequila Commissariat. Please go to their website. I've never seen a website like this for a brand, tequilacommissariat.com. I've been drinking the Reserve this summer on a little bit of ice out in the pool. It's been incredible. This is a great company, the Ferrari of tequilas. I talked to the Tequila Commissariat team. They're back with us as a proud partner. The agave is amazing. The pure agave is incredible. Their story is amazing. And overall, if you're looking for a tequila, a different one, a higher end tequila priced perfectly for you, the Blanco, the Reposado, the Añejo, the Extra Añejo, and obviously I love the Reserve. It's fantastic. We appreciate their proud partnership here as we're in Southern California, where a lot of their team members are associated. So Tequila Commissariat, proud partner of our training camp coverage here in Costa Mesa before we head home tomorrow. Here's Kinsley in Henderson on the flagship of the Silver and Black.
All right, that was a lot of fun with Jack Jones.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
This year, and this defense is going to be awesome. And O'Connell practice, but the playmakers are there. Jack Jones, Max Crosby's at the top of the list. We're going to wrap up this show down in Costa Mesa by going to the mailbag. You can ask us questions at NFL Daily Podcast at gmail.com. I want to hit another mailbag.
All right.
Early next week, maybe later. This NFL Daily Podcast at gmail.com. And yeah, while we're here, go to the YouTube page, subscribe, like, help us out. I loved all the encouraging emails that we were looking at between me and Randy. And yeah, Randy, we're now through 5 teams doing a deep dive on. I need that big board. We've hit 5 out of the 32. If we haven't hit you yet, we've hit Eagles, Raiders, Rams, Chargers. We're going to hit you at some point this season. It's got to take one. All right, let's get to the question. Let's start with Eldon, who asks, how many starts for J.J. McCarthy this year? I'm putting the over-under at 14. I don't think it's going to be long. J.J. McCarthy at training camp, getting positive notices. Sam Darnold is still Sam Darnold. I would almost put it higher, if not for the injury risk for McCarthy. But I don't think Darnold's going to last more than 2 or 3 weeks. If I had to guess, their schedule is pretty difficult at the beginning. They would love Darnold to do well, but I think J.J. McCarthy's really playing against himself.
Okay, let me jump in. I appreciate your call coming in. Thank you so much for finding the show as we're live from Costa Mesa. You made a good point. Look, Devontae is on this team, and Devontae needs some deep balls, period. Okay, Devontae is not the speed of Cliff Branch, but he can get behind the defense. You got to throw it deep. You got Trey Tucker to throw it deep. Jacoby Myers can run great intermediate routes. You can have him get behind the safeties from time to time. This team will be predicated on getting the ball to Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers when Devontae is double teamed and running the ball with Zamir White and him running hard and picking up 4, 5, 6 yards on a carry at times and moving the chains. I think this team has a chance, and you can cut and paste this if you'd like. I think this team has a chance to be elite in the short passing game. Now, not a lot of people want to be elite in the short passing game. Everybody wants to throw it. They want to throw it deep. I get that. This team has a chance to be elite, moving the chains over the middle of the field. You pick up a 3rd and 4 in the passing game and keep that defense you're going up on the field for another 2 or 3 minutes and wear them down, and then put Christian Wilkins out there and Max Crosby. That's how you're going to win games. This team will not win games in shootouts. Maybe 1 or 2, 34-31 game. This team's going to have to win by being tough, physical, running the football, and being successful in 12 personnel. That's how I see it so far. That can change. I got my Tom Flores hat on. I want to share a very important conversation I had with Tom Flores a couple of hours ago. Come on back for that, please.
Around the NFL ending as much more than anything.
Back in a second, everyone.
I did have a little bit of time to kind of read and get used to it, understand life sometimes. Gives you things you didn't expect, gives you things you didn't want, and it's how you respond to that. But you don't need to be rooting against the show and not wanting to like this show. Love this show. Love the new show from Mark and Dan that's going to be coming out. Keep the call. They announced that, and I know that's going to be awesome. And I mentioned that partly because Jack has a Heed the Call tattoo, like myself. I love it. I remember words of Chris Wesley. He told me that the first time he told me that was, and I'm going to sound like this is a humble brag actually. I was in Hawaii. I was having a little bit of a personal crisis of I can't do the job that I had, which was in management anymore. I just couldn't do it. It had to be happier, more fulfilled. Do something like I ended up doing with around the NFL or full time with the network. And now we're doing NFL daily. And that was the first time Chris gave me that advice. You know, he was technically someone who was under me at work, but I always went to him for advice. And that was all about it's a short life, and you got to do what you love, what matters to you. And I'm doing it now, even though it's not around the NFL. This podcast that allows me, I really appreciate everyone who's along for the ride. He does ask a football question. He says, I think Tony Pollard's a brilliant example of a truly explosive, valuable second running back who excelled in that role. But when given the RB1 role, with no viable RB2, struggled. So who are your top 5 RB2s for 2020? Oh my God, I should have covered this better. 5 best RB2s. Well, immediately I think of Tajay Spears and Tony Pollard in Tennessee. Whoever you call the RB2 there, that's 2. I love what I'm hearing out of A.J. Dillon, that Matt LaFleur says this is the best A.J. Dillon has ever looked. And so whether it's him, whether it's Marshawn Lloyd in Green Bay, I think those are 2 guys that are going to be absolutely electric as a backup running back. And then, man, I'm going through the Rolodex right now. Justice Hill, this might be a little high for Justice Hill, but I think Justice Hill is going to have a great season. And I'm going to think of RB2s out there that I should have mentioned this. And to defend Tony Pollard, I think he struggled because he was coming out with a broken leg.
Okay.
They're asking him to do more. He was set up for failure there. He just was not confident in that leg last year. That's going to be big for Tennessee than he is this year. We'll see. Our next question from Andrew. Love the show. Wondering if this could be a segment that would focus on the Panthers.
No, I'm here.
I know it's unlikely.
Because it went offline for me, and I'm on this.
Now,
Offline, yeah, you're offline.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, hold on, hold on,
Text
hold on,
me,
hold on,
just
hold on.
happened.
That's on. Shit.
No, I'm hearing it.
Okay, it's now online. Okay. So.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't been offline the whole show. So.
Okay. All right. Good.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
No problem. We got it. So, yeah.
It's hard to see the image. I've seen coaches make young teams like that be average when they didn't have any right. So you can get an average defense there. Bryce Young and Deontay Johnson, I think, are going to be a really good connection. I think they can improve quite a bit. I think of Alex Smith's career arc when I think of where Bryce Young is at right now. One of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen was Alex Smith as a rookie. Second year, gets a better coordinator. They improved to 7-9. He was around league average. To me, that's the recipe for them being good. And Mingo steps up a little bit, and that they're just watchable, and that you have a guy that can be a starting quarterback. So not an entire segment, but I gave you thank you. This one's also from a different Andrew, a diehard Dolphins fan that has been so accustomed to mediocrity. Asked you a bigger question. Wanted to ask me about the Dolphins scale. What are entire teams this year that lie on the Dolphins? So for new listeners, the Dolphins scale was Chris Wesley's invention of how to measure whether you have a franchise quarterback or not. If that quarterback is better than Andy Dalton, you have a franchise quarterback. If that quarterback is worse than Andy Dalton, you do not have a franchise quarterback. So I'm here, in Costa Mesa rather with the Vegas Raiders. They do not have a quarterback that's even approaching Andy Dalton back when he was with the Bengals. They are below the Dolphins. Tua Tagovailoa is not as high above the Dolphins scale line as Dolphins fans think, but he is above entire teams is funny. I thought about this for a while. At first, my thought was the Saints because they're so off the radar. No one really knows what they're going to do. Their entire franchise is just, can we keep our jobs for one more year? They're just trying to get to 8 wins, 9 wins like they had a year ago so that everyone can stay employed. But I thought about their talent's not even as good as
All right, everybody. JT back with you. It's hour number 2 live from training camp, brought to you by Remy Martin XO. Remy Martin, Team Up for Excellence. Do you know it's Remy Martin's 300th anniversary? I mean, think of that. 300 years of exceptional cognac making. They're our proud partner. Have a cognac cocktail for the summer here. This is my team. Remy Martin's been with me a long time, and all the activations they have around town and the fact that they're part of our training camp coverage. I want to thank their entire team for everything they do for us, and they're really good. And they're all around town. They're always reaching out to us, telling us what they're doing so we can tell you about it here. So if you're into the 1738 like I am, fantastic. If you want to try something unique, and I'm talking really unique, how about the Remy Martin XO gift set? You can order that at their website at RemyMartin.com. The Tercet 300th anniversary bottle here overall, and the fact that just a part of the remotes we do in town. And I just love Remy Martin, man. When I come out here, I make sure that I bring up the fact that we could not be at training camp without Remy Martin, our proud partner. Go to RemyMartin.com and find a way to make a better cocktail and experience everything they have to offer. Remy Martin, Team Up for Excellence. So the first hour of the show was, I thought, really good. We had Michael Mayer on. If you were able to see that, overall, you pretty much loved it. If you saw what we were able to do with him, fantastic. I mean, there's someone there who can really understand what we're trying to do. And Michael Mayer, I believe, is going to be one of those guys who has an impact again, as long as they focus on him. As long as they focus on him and don't get away from the disappearing act that we saw with him last year. Well, last year we saw a disappearing act with Michael Mayer. One game he shows up, the other game he doesn't get the attempts, he doesn't get the throws, and if that's going to happen this year, it's going to be very frustrating. Because Michael Mayer, I think, is going to play a bigger role on this offense, along with Brock Bowers. And if Brock Bowers has the year that I expect him to have, that's going to be exceptional, and Michael Mayer is going to be able to jump in and do a really nice job. Everyone who's asking about Devontae's wife's about to give birth to his first son. He's back in Vegas. He does not need to be here. He's fine. He's in great shape. He's motivated. You watch the Netflix season. Now, if you want to ask about Colton Miller and all the time he's missed, reportedly he's ready to come back. Jackson Powers Johnson, he's coming back a little bit longer than I expected here, but all accounts is that he's going to be okay. And the Raiders brought in some depth at that position. If you look watching on our YouTube channel, JT the Brick YT, you see I'm building my board for calling the play-by-play for this game coming up against the Vikings. And what I like about this team now is that the interior of the offensive line, Dylan Parham, Andre James, Jordan Meredith, Cody Whitehair, the guys who are going to be able to play and maybe get some extra snaps here, DJ Glaze, Thea Mumford, who I assume is going to be the right tackle here, but everybody's talking about the emergence of DJ Glaze. This offensive line is getting a lot of reps. And they're trying to do their part so Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew can show up and play at a higher level. They haven't played at a higher level. So what's it going to take for them to play better? I don't know. They got to be more consistent. They got to be more mobile. I think they both got to be a little bit more vocal. There's a lot of things they need to do. And it's got to start already or start now. As I'm seeing here, the United States is ahead of Brazil 42-34. When it comes to Olympic basketball. So I'll keep an eye on this game. Look, the rest of these games for USA basketball is not going to be easy. Nikola Jokic has advanced. So he's advanced to the semifinals. So you got Serbia still out there, and they can put together a pretty good game. If you've been watching the Olympics along the way, I've really enjoyed the Olympics. I think the Olympics have been fantastic. Paris has knocked it out of the park. Good luck, LA, trying to match Paris. Good luck, because Paris has looked exceptional, and I've really enjoyed that. So other than this, back to the Raiders for a second. I'll get to that. But Brandon Ayuk not being available on the trade block is a really big story right now. No doubt about that. So I'll jump into that, and we'll keep going here. I'm excited to talk to our next guest from NFL Network. He's out here covering the Raiders. Greg Rosenthal, kind enough to join us. And Greg, I know you're knocking down segments here. We're going to get you up here momentarily. I know you're knocking down some segments here. What's it like to be out at Raiders training camp? Because Raider Nation is not allowed to be out here. Hold on, my producer's saying, wait a second. I don't know why, but we'll wait a second here until he gives me the go-ahead. And I know you're just going to jump in and wrap up your day here. Bobby, are we ready to go? Okay. I'm going to have to give my producer one more second here as we continue on. You want to line up? Phones have been great all week. 702-365-9200 is the number as we continue on here. The quarterback conversation truly has been the big conversation as we bring back Greg. And what do you think here? Because we have a much vibrant fan base, but we're not able to do that because of some Orange County protocols with the Saints in town and the Raiders in town. How you covering the story?
I tell you what, though, the Raiders have a great experience for the VIP fans that are here. And these 300 fans that were probably out there were as louder than any of the training camps I've been at, where you can have as many fans as you want. The Cowboys was pretty quiet. The Rams and Chargers, those fans are chill. They had a nice group out there. But the Raiders fans, they let you know. You have an announcer announcing, okay, this is 2nd and 4, 1:30 left. No other camp has that either. So the Raiders, they do it right. And that rule that they're not allowed to do it is
it's weird.
Unfortunate. Although, I got to pick a bone with you here. I heard you earlier on the show saying the national media is not out here. They're not giving the attention the Raiders. Well, I'm here.
Until you can.
I'm kind of higher on the Raiders than most, I think.
And our good friend Steve Weiss was out here day one, and I spoke to him a lot. But my vibe on this is that overall, and you're here, so you're able to see it. I think most of the national media, which would be national sports talk and national debate shows and all that, they don't know the depth of the Raiders. They don't know Malcolm Kuntz. They don't know Trayvon Merrick. They don't know some of the players that are mixed in here. So they go to the low-hanging fruit, which is kind of high-hanging fruit now with the quarterback play, which hasn't been very impressive.
And that totally makes sense. And that's why I can't totally get there of, hey, this could be a playoff team. But I studied a lot last week. I did a preview of the AFC West and went back, watched some of their games, tried to study their whole roster. And I love Raiders fans. They're diehard. I live in Los Angeles. There's so many more Raiders license plates than Rams or Chargers in my neighborhood. And they're always so optimistic. And sometimes it's irrational. Some of these teams they've tried it out over the last 20 years, they didn't have reason for optimism. I can see the reasons for optimism this year if they can just get decent quarterback play. Because to me, I look at the lines first of all. I think the defensive line should be fantastic. I think the offensive line has a chance to be pretty good. I think I look at the skill position players next, outside of quarterback, really good. And then you saw the cohesion and the aggression on the defense. That's a lot of things to like, again, if you can get decent quarterback play.
Greg Rosenthal's our guest, NFL Network, and I'll throw in the kicker and the punter are really good. And that's a part of the game. But the problem that I've had is that they've won 8 in a row against Denver. You would think because Sean Payton has been an epic, he's a great coach, but he took over a team there that had more problems. He's kind of purged the team. No Jerry Jeudy, no Russell Wilson. So that thing seems to be getting purged and trying to be fixed along the way. The Raiders do pretty good against the Chargers. They knocked out the Chargers from the playoffs a couple of years ago and put 63 on them last year. And you come to Southern California and everybody's talking about Harbaugh is good for 5 or 6 wins. Saying, I'm going, wait a second. So I think that's where, for the Raiders, they're a second-place team in the AFC West a couple of times, and they're getting treated like a bottom dweller in the AFC West. That's the only problem.
Well, the schedule is tough. And there's a quick way to change that. You got week 1, you got a Chargers game, which ends up feeling like a home game. Maybe you don't have Justin Herbert at 100%. And I fall for the cult of personality for Harbaugh too. I was there. Yeah. It felt like a college atmosphere where he's really the king, and they just built this new facility with him coming in, and you just think, okay, Harbaugh, he's a good coach at hiring coaches, developing coaches, and so you think the defense will be better. You have a quarterback there, but him not being 100%, I think it's close between those two teams. I don't think there's much separating them. If Herbert's not healthy, though, then you like the Raiders.
I agree with you. There hasn't been much since the Raiders moved to Vegas. There hasn't been much between the Chargers and the Raiders. They seem to be kind of similar teams here. Tom Telesco comes over from the Chargers. What do you think about that move? Because we haven't seen a lot with them working together with Antonio Pierce. Antonio Pierce is a motivated former Super Bowl champion linebacker, and Tom Telesco's had a nice career drafting, especially in the first round.
I was surprised just because there wasn't that relationship, and there's been some reports that the contracts are different length, and I do like that they're starting together on a full-time basis at the same time. That's important to me. It's a recipe for disaster when you start at different times, and so they need to really be cohesive and on the same page. And I think Telesco, one thing he did well with the Chargers was he adapted the types of players he would get to the coach that he had. Now you can say, why did he get so many coaches? Like, it's pretty rare to be able to hire 3 head coaches, which he did without a ton of playoff success. So, but he brought in good players, and I think he adapts to his coach. So I was surprised that that was the move. That was not the buzz at all early in that process, and that was the guy they ended up with. I don't know what the story was there, but Mark Davis runs the show, and you got to think that's the guy Mark Davis wanted.
Greg Rosenthal from NFL Network. What do you think's happening with this quarterback play? You've been here today. You talked to some insiders. I saw you had Deshaun Reed on, and when you wonder who's going to get this opportunity, I thought Aiden O'Connell, because Antonio Pierce kept his job from interim to head coach. If Aiden doesn't win those games down the stretch, and he wasn't perfect in all those games, I wonder if Antonio Pierce securely gets the job. So the loyalty's there. I think Gardner Minshew and his experience, I'm starting to see a little tiny separation so far, especially today.
Yeah, I thought you saw it today. Aiden O'Connell just doesn't look confident. I was with you. I went into this training camp thinking he was good for a rookie. I know he's an older rookie, but I went back and watched some of those games, the Indianapolis game, the first Kansas City game. He made a lot of high-level throws, didn't make too many mistakes. I thought his arm was a little better than I saw here today, and I think he was not comfortable yet in this scheme, which makes sense. He's going against a good defense. But if that's the case, if it's close, Minshew is a guy who's always been a better player than he is practice player. I can't tell you how many teams and camps I've talked to where the coaches never really like Gardner Minshew, but then he gets on the field and then they like Gardner Minshew in a game situation.
A couple of national topics before you wrap it up. This Ayuk story is massive because whenever you have a player who's that good, and I think he's borderline great, top 10 receiver, I don't think the Niners can win the Super Bowl without him. I really don't. I think they're a playoff team blindfolded, but the Rams are going to get better. There's tough games in that division. But losing a player as they've been so close to knocking on the door to win a Super Bowl, not to get there, I've been doing this a long time. You're not a better team without Brandon Ayuk. How does this play out?
I totally agree. I think it's admitting failure. How can you trade him now? It's why I haven't, this whole time, even as last night it started to look real serious that they've worked out these trade terms, I still haven't quite bought it because I'm like, that's dumb. And the 49ers, I know they've made some decisions like Trey Lance over the years, but this is different. This is bad process to trade him at this point. Now, if you got Amari Cooper back with a good pick.
Amari Cooper is a hell of a player in this league. But Ayuk being, just younger and ascending.
He's a better player now. And Cooper is an up and down player where when he's great, he's great. But he hasn't been as consistent. He wants more money too. And I just don't think it makes any sense. And so when I saw those reports that came out, I thought, what are they trying to do here? They're trying to get this Ayuk thing settled. They're frustrated. And maybe they feel like they're calling his bluff a little that, okay, we're not going to let you go to Washington or Chicago. Washington or Pittsburgh because they're not meeting their trade terms. We know you don't want to go to Cleveland. They're only giving you a couple more $1 million a year or whatever it is. We know you don't want to go to the Patriots, and they're trying to force the issue and put it out there. I just can't believe, I still can't actually believe that they want to let go of him because that's Kyle Shanahan's guy. He loves this guy. He built him up. So I can't believe it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen still.
Greg, I've been asking all the insiders I've had on nationally and here, give me a team that you really like that another teams, not a lot of people have talked about, and a team that you think is a little bit overrated. I'm not a Vegas gambler here, but maybe a team that's getting a little bit too much hype and a team under the radar.
I think the Bucks have a better chance to be like really good than other people do.
Baker Mayfield could have been right out there today.
Right.
No, seriously, Baker Mayfield was available.
Yeah.
For a little to nothing. And my son went to Oklahoma. I was saying, Baker Mayfield looks like a Raider and could have been there. And look at the way he played last year.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like who fits that qualification. So Bucks and Colts don't. I think the Colts have a very high ceiling.
Okay.
So I think the Bucks, to me, they are the favorites in that division. They're not the favorites in Vegas, for instance, for that division. And I think they have a lot of really high-level players, and I like their coaching staff, where I think that could be a 10-11 win team. I think if everything goes right for the Colts, great defensive line, really good defensive line, a quarterback with a lot of promise, a great young head coach. I mean, that could be a team that's really good, a 12, 13 win type of team. Kind of be the team people expect Texans. On the flip side, Cowboys. I mean, I know people aren't that big on the Cowboys anyways, but I think the floor could really fall out.
That was my Super Bowl pick last year. I felt really good about it. They were really good at points last year. They were clicking. Injuries got them. And then, at the end, that play against Jordan Love playing the way he did got him some big money.
Yeah. And I was out there, I followed their camp too. And they just have so many gaping holes, position battles at important positions, defensive tackle, running back, linebacker, offensive line, left tackle, especially, just a lot of big questions. And so that's, in terms of the big time teams, that's probably the one that stands out.
Last one. Tell me about your evolution with NFL Network, the shows that you host, that you're on. What are you most excited about going forward?
Yeah, we've started this NFL Daily podcast. So that is new. I was doing the Around the NFL podcast for a long time. It was very close to my heart. It was great success. It ended, unfortunately, and now we're doing a daily show where we're really hitting every team, news, analysis, all the great NFL media people that I can have on that are coming on each and every day.
Isn't it great when you have the resources to
Yes.
get on almost anybody you want?
It is very nice. And then coming down here and having that flavor of having some great players on the show and everything. And then I do a pick show every week, Game Day View on Friday, which is a lot of fun too. So hopefully I'll be picking the Raiders more often this year.
Thanks for doing this.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Greg Rosenthal, we appreciate his time here, as he is the national media that is down here at camp, and we appreciate that for the Raider Nation. Good luck to you and your crew this year. Take care, Greg. So there you go. I'm running a little bit late here. We'll get everybody to jump back in. 702-365-9200. And I think that was really good analysis on what's happening with the Raiders here, the battle with the Chargers, what's going to happen against Denver, the schedule, and how that schedule opens up. If you want to get through, you can get in. 702-365-9200 is the number. We're live. I'm going to say goodbye to our good friends on YouTube. Man, you've been fantastic the last couple of days. We thank you for doing that. We're brought to you by Boyd Gaming, local Raiders coverage at all the casinos. What was the problem?